that's in focus at this point is Tree House Education. SES, which is Stakeholders Empowerment Services, has raised concerns over the high levels of receivables on Tree House's balance sheet, and they say that the spike in receivables has been unusual as the fees have been paid in advance. JN Gupta of SES joins in. Okay, in a bit he'll just join in to talk about that. But the problem with the stock has been intense. As you can see, in this year itself, the stock has come off substantially, down almost, in the last 3 months, it's down almost about 25%. The management has come and clarified as far as its receivables are concerned, but SES continues to say that the spike in receivables has been unusual as a lot of the fees have been paid in advance. In fact, as on March 31st, the receivables of the company have gone up by almost about 48% at 43 crores versus about 29 odd crores, and the receivables overdue for more than 6 months stands at almost about 18 odd crores or so. Rajesh Bhatia, the MD of Tree House, is with us to give us that clarification. Rajesh, good morning. I know you've made a clarification to the exchanges as well, but just to come to certain numbers, there is 35 crores of outstanding from trusts that is in your balance sheet. How do you have that money when your FY15 revenues itself are just about 28 crores or so?
No, please understand. We've given a clarification even to Mr. Gupta, and they've issued a note which says they are satisfied with the clarification. It would have been nice if we would have got it earlier, so that this kind of misunderstanding would not have happened. You see, 17.5 crores is part of the 35 crores is curriculum which would come over 3 years. It is mentioned in the balance sheet in the notes to accounts.
Okay.
And it is mentioned in the balance sheet in the notes to accounts for the year ended 14. So if you read the notes to accounts, it's already there.
Okay.
The second part is 17.5 crores, which was to come from the K to 12 schools, which at the end of the service that you provide them in the academic year, as a services company, it's a business to business transaction, where the money comes subsequently after the academic year ends. You see, but when we provide them the service, we keep billing them every quarter for the same. And even that money has come in. The third part of the receivable is about 30 lakhs, which is from franchisees, which already came in April and May. And the last part is 7.5 crores from preschool, which is 4% of 180 crores. You see, as a company, we are a social impact company. We deal with small children. We deal with in an economy wherein at times parents tend to lose their jobs. We have to support the family, and subsequently in April and May, as the child rolls over for next year, the parent pays up. Okay. So that is because on one end, while one must understand that the company is a very unique company by itself. Tree House is the largest self-operated preschool chain in India. And when I say self-operated, a large part of our income is tuition fees.
Okay. Well, actually, we have connected with Mr. JN Gupta, the founder and managing director of Stakeholders Empowerment Services, SES, the company which raised the doubts. Mr. Gupta, we have Rajesh Bhatia with us from Tree House, and he was explaining that of the 43 crore receivables, 17.5 crore...
Your voice is not audible. This voice is getting chopping.
All right. Can you hear me now? Is this any better?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it is chopping in between.
Okay, I'll try again. If you are not able to hear, we will reconnect. Mr. Bhatia explains that of the 43 crore receivables, 17.5 crore is anyway to be paid over the next 3 years. And that is part of the contract. So that should not be included in the receivables. As well, he says 17.5 crores will come at the end of the year. They are for K to 12 class, and that's 17.5 crore will be paid at the end of the year, and this was clarified to SES. After the clarification, do you still have doubts, Mr. Gupta?
No, as we had discussed with Mr. Bhatia, he had come to meet us, and we had told them that, look, we do not know how you run business, and it is known best to you because SES is not in the business of running schools. And the only thing which we wanted was that there should be transparency and proper disclosure to the shareholders. So when we met him, he clarified that out of the 44 odd crore that was receivable, most of the receivables are on account of K-12 school, and where he said that the receivables are the money received after 1 year or something in arrears. So we told them to clarify it in writing, and he clarified in writing. And we issued a addendum to our report. But we told him that, look, since you have given us your word, and you can convey to the stock exchange after you get this verified by auditors, because we do not have any means to verify, because when you make a public disclosure to the stock exchange, it has to be authenticated. So we have said that whatever you want, you can do it. We have no problem. We cannot object to high debtors or low debtors. It is his business. The only thing is he has to explain how he runs his business to his shareholders. And that is what he is now saying, that since it is received 1 year later, we have no issue on that.
Okay. Have you moved on the auditing of your 17.5 crore? Have you filed it with the exchange, the clarification that Mr. Gupta is seeking?
We filed it with the exchange.
It's filed with the exchange.
Yeah, we filed it with the exchange.
Okay. I just had one question on what the total number of employees are and what is the average cost or average salary that you pay to your employees?
So let me explain to you that we would now have roughly about 2,500 odd employees on our rolls.
Okay.
Most of them are teachers, because 99% of our workforce is a women workforce, and they work for between 8:30 to 2:30, which is about 5 to 6 hours in a day. Schools, the preschools are opened for about 180 to 190 days in a year, whilst they get salaries for 365 days in a year. You have to go on a per hour man basis kind of a calculation. The salaries are roughly in the region of 6,500 to 8,000 rupees.
Okay.
And if you do a man hour calculation for that on a 8 or a 10 hour basis with about 250 to 275 days of working, it works out to about 14 to 15,000 rupees per employee. So one must not go purely by the numberness of the number. Because if you
said
go by
90% are teachers.
99% of our employees, of our workforce are women employees.
Okay.
And
how many are teachers, you said?
Most of them are teachers.
But the average salary is still much lower than what government schools and other schools offer, right?
See, preschools is an unregulated market. Please understand. The regulation stems from grade 1 onwards in the K to 12 structures. Preschools are an unregulated market globally. You see, whether you are in the US, whether you are in the European markets, worldwide preschools are centers where small children come to play, come to learn, and spend about 2 to 3 hours in a day below the house. There is no government regulation of any of the they are not regulated. None of the preschools. It's not just in India, but it's worldwide. It's a similar phenomenon. So worldwide, whether you are in the US or in the European market.
So you plan to stay at this 6,500 to 8,000 rupees per month band?
Yeah,
for
we
the
plan
teachers.
to stay in that range. So the range it's a broad range. In smaller markets, smaller tier 3, tier 2 cities, it would vary to maybe even 5,500 on that kind of a salary.
All right, we leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Bhatia, for coming by and clarifying on both the issues. Yeah. So that's the word. Mr. Jain Gupta, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the phone on the issue of the receivables of Tree House Education, which the company says has been clarified with the stock exchanges as well. Let's move to another issue that we woke up to yesterday.